Hello, everyone. We are back. Swiss has concluded, and we are going to go into that top 32. Before we do into that top 32, however, we do have the little raffle that we have going on. So, for any player who has finished all 7 rounds, they are allowed to, or they are participating in this raffle. So, we are handing out 5 battle passes in total. What do you have a battle pass, Solar? I'm curious. Have you bought it?
I won't admit to any participation in the capitalist scheme. I don't have a battle pass, but I did get the starter pack, and I may have FOMO'd my way into getting a membership after seeing Yotam with his 17 battle teams or whatever, and when 1,100 story, I was like, oh, it'd be really nice to transfer a few mons from home. Anyway, if there was a raffle that I could win a battle pass, I would be happy. So that's all I'll say.
Yeah, me too. I hope I can somehow win despite not being participant of this. I hope it just says Ducky, and I'm like, yay! It's my time to get a battle pass because it is a similar case for me. You get all the other things and you figure, oh, I'm not sure if I should get that battle pass. So lucky 5 players here who don't have the battle pass yet might get the battle pass here. So let's see. We're gonna raffle. The way this is gonna work is we just have a random number generator of all the players that have finished the Swiss rounds, and I'm just gonna start it.
Here we go.
The first one to win is Mr. _ Craboni. Craboni. I hope I said it.
I hope they play for Brawler.
We have to check now. In the meantime,
another roll.
If you do want to get that battle pass, Mr. Carboni, if you recognize that is your name that we're saying out loud, do DM our staff in the Discord channel. I'm gonna raffle the next one in the meantime, and
here we go.
You are gonna say the name, possibly.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you.
Okay, fine. I'll say the name.
You got this. You got this.
You know, there are a lot of European players in this tournament. I've got my American accent.
You'll do fine. I believe in you. All right. This is the name.
All right. Oh, there it is. Okay, so Grande Evasore.
You said that perfectly. I
don't know if I did. I think I just offended the entire nation of English.
So might be a Spanish name. Might have offended both countries.
Grande Evasore. Yeah, reach out. You've won a battle pass. All right, so we've got 3 more to do.
And I already have queued up the next one. The next winner for the battle pass raffle is, and I hope I said this right as well. I'm European, I don't even know. Beau Lavore. Beaulavore. If you recognize Beau Lavore as your name, even if I mispronounce it, do DM our staff on Discord here. All right. Are you able? Do you think you can do the next one?
I can do this.
Okay. Here's the next name.
It looks like Brabe. Brabei. You have got, or Brabai, perhaps. You have got a free battle pass. So congratulations.
Woo! Free battle pass. Free money. Free money.
Free money.
And for our last battle pass winner here for today, the winner goes to Nick 3003. So Nick 3003, if you do hear your name, if you do recognize that is you, do DM our staff, and we will get in contact with you about the battle pass. So I'll repeat all the names one more time. It is Mr. _ Craboni, Grand Evasore, Beau Lavore.
I don't know.
Brabe and Nick 3003. Those are the winners for the battle pass. Thanks to Codecentric AG for sponsoring this. This is only possible because of our sponsor.
Yeah, thanks so much to Codecentric AG.
All right. With that, I think we might be ready to go into the next match. So not everyone is playing a top 32. Some of our players are already further ahead, like Sandy, who are going to feature in top 16. Since they have performed 7-0 as the only player, they are going to wait there. So be excited for that already. In the meantime, we are going to showcase a top 32 match. And in this case, who are we featuring, Toler?
It looks like we have Liakos and Ciccioct29, or Ciccioct29. Hopefully I've said that correctly as well. So this is really going to be a big match. These players are both really really strong trainers.
Yeah, and we see that double Mega Floette. So another one of the big three you have mentioned. And it looks like they are quite similar in core. The only difference that I can immediately spot is that Sneasler in comparison to that Basque Legion with Icy Wind. Boy.
Yeah, I mean, which one would you prefer to have here? The Sneasler with Throat Chop and White Herb, or the Basque Legion with Choice Scarf Last Respects?
I mean, Vascular Legion does, and like it's part of my heart. I love it a lot already because I played myself a lot with Scarf. But if I see a Mega Floette, I just have to go with Sneasler. That poison advantage might be really good, and that close combat into the Kicking Gambit to boot. How could I say no to that? I think that's quite an advantage for Ciccioct, no?
Yeah, well, this is a really fascinating setup between these two teams. I mean, another important thing to note here, Ciccioct is on the Moonblast, but also Draining Kiss Mega Floette with Calm Mind, which means that he's going to have a much easier time sustaining with Floette than Liakos is going to, given that Liakos has no way for Floette to heal itself. That's Sneasler having close combat, as you noted, but also the poison coverage for the opposing Floette. So lots of threats. The Iron Head on both sides, critical on these King Gambits, but lots of threats into the opposing Floette, and lots of ways to try to avoid those threats between Tailwind, Rage Powder, Life Dew on Ciccioct's side as well, so Life Dew and Draining Kiss, and the damage reduction from Incineroar. It's really going to be a barn burner of a game. We're going to see a lot of very meaningful speed interactions, and if both these Aerodactyls come, maybe even some speed ties.
Yeah, and I do think that it might go even into the speaker interactions, since Liakos with that Dazzling Gleam in comparison to the Draining Kiss might not have the sustainability, but who needs sustainability if you can just rip through the opposing team? Yeah, so I could see Liakos just lead that Aerodactyl, lead that Vascular Legion, or like lead that Floette and compare, in addition, and just start hammering away, just Wave Crash, just Last Respects, just a Cowdog Cleave, Dazzling, Tailwind, and if Ciccioct doesn't play it right, they could not, maybe, I don't know if they can handle that barrage, but we will have to see in that game 1 lead. And it is that Aerodactyl Floette for Liakos, as we see Ciccioct lead that King Gambit and Sneasler, so 4 unique Pokemon on the field here.
Yeah, this is super interesting. Liakos went for the offense right away with that Dazzling Gleam, as you highlighted, Floette. Threatening damage onto both King Gambit and Sneasler, but King Gambit and Sneasler are very happy to see Floette on the opposing side of the field. Dire Claw and Iron Head are both very powerful attacks, and the question here is whether Liakos is going to try to protect or switch that Floette, or whether they're just going to try to rip it attack immediately.
Yeah, and that Aerodactyl with the Dual Wing, it's still pretty strong attack here, and could just possibly get the knockout onto the Sneasler if they play right, maybe if they read correctly. We see that Mega Floette on Liakos' side here, so deciding to just rip it off the ball here, straight up, just going in Fairy Aura, possibly the Dazzling in here. However, that Sneasler says, no, I'm gonna go for the Fake Out first. That Aerodactyl is not gonna be allowed to move, as we see that Floette just opt for the Moonblast straight up into the King Gambit, risking a possible special attack from here. No, we're not going to get it, as the King Gambit is just going to go for the Iron Head straight up into the Floette. It's going to hang on with 1 HP!
I forgot that you could put Focus Sashes on your Mega Pokemon in this game. What a survival from Floette. Now we're still threatening Tailwind and attack on this next turn. And it's really, I mean, we're off to the races here. Floette, under threat of Sucker Punch, could protect, could not protect. Liakos thought, well, you've got to double my Aerodactyl, but Ciccioct called it out and went for the Iron Head, just didn't quite get the payoff.
I had to double check the team sheet. Is it correct that they have a sash on it? And no, it is still that Mega Floette. Nice. I mean, yeah, we saw it, but maybe I'm daydreaming, and no, it is just a really good spread, possibly. Maybe they have just caught for that, as we see that Ciccioct, with that pressure from that Aerodactyl with that Tailwind or dual wing beat here. As
No
they go
Sucker
for it.
Punch.
They switch it out into the Floette. No Sucker Punch, crucially, from that King Gambit. So the Floette on Liakos' side, who didn't opt for Protect, is free to go for an attack. It is that Dazzling Gleam. It's gonna get the KO on King Gambit. And it's gonna put the Floette down to 38 HP. Liakos is here, sitting with the advantage on everything. Speed, Pokemon number, damage, HP even. We talked about sustainability for Ciccioct, but Liakos just says, no, you're not getting any of that.
Man, yeah, what a fascinating way for this to start. So turn 1, Ciccioct had the option to fake out an Iron Head the Floette and KO it. Obviously, Floette's going to protect, so why would you do that? Except Floette didn't protect, so the coverage Iron Head went in, but it didn't KO because there's no fake out damage. Turn 2, Floette's at 1 HP and Sucker Punch is obvious, so why would I ever Sucker Punch here? I can just get rid of the Aerodactyl while I set up my own Floette. Well, you're gonna get punished for that one, Ciccioct, with that Dazzling Gleam and the dual wing beat damage. No Tailwind necessary, and knocking that Floette right into range of a Rock Slide, right into range of another Dazzling Gleam, maybe even right in the range of a Matcha Gotcha from that Sinistcha later if it's in the back. Sucker Punch from the opposing Gambit as well. I mean, this is brutal. Liakos has really gotten these turns as right as they needed to.
The one advantage that Ciccioct has left is that fake out this turn, and possibly a speed advantage on the Floette, depending on how they have trained it. The Aerodactyl is just going to go for Protect in the face of that fake out threat, as well as that Floette as well. So really, no damage going to go down here as we just stall out the fake out from the Sneasler. So Liakos smartly saying, hey, I'm not going to give you that little advantage that you do have this turn. And this Aerodactyl just free to go for a Tailwind the next turn, with having the Floette still going through Dazzling Gleam or Moonblast here possibly. Whatever the case, Liakos is pushing that tempo and pushing Ciccioct right against the wall.
Yeah, that double protect was, of course, I mean, you cross your T's and dot your I's when you're in top cut of a tournament with players of this caliber. And Liakos really knew, well, if I just double protect here, I have Tailwind the following turn. There's no priority on Ciccioct side, and Aerodactyl will outspeed the Sneasler. So even if all I do is Tailwind and Dazzling Gleam, I'm probably getting a KO on the Floette, and if I'm not, I'm at least threatening. But instead it's this dual wing beat, which will one-shot the Sneasler.
We see that Aerodactyl not even saying, I don't need no Tailwind, I'm just going to go for that dual wing beat. The Sneasler is going to go down, and I bet my Floette is faster, says Liakos. As it is, it's going to go for the Dazzling Gleam, it's going to KO the Floette, and Ciccioct is down. All 3 Pokemon, 1 Pokemon is left, as Liakos has all 4 Pokemon. And Ciccioct deciding to forfeit to not show the last Pokemon. Interesting choice.
Yeah, previously the illegal forfeit, as we used to call it, because we could only do it on Pokemon Showdown. But yeah, though Ciccioct, it says I don't want to reveal my plan. That was horrible. We're going game 2, and I'm going to use my skills and experience to turn it around in this one. So really a fascinating game. I think Liakos really got the better of the reads in turns 1 and 2, and we just saw just how quickly Floette could explode through the game with the help of Aerodactyl.
Yeah, I think just targeting down that Floette, you'd think that the Iron Head would just get the KO there, and I would think so too. So it's just hanging on with 1 HP might even just be a bad roll, or it's cocked for that. We don't know. But we do see that the Floette was faster than Ciccioct's Floette, at least for 1 turn. So it might be in speed class still, but it's fair to assume that the opposing Floette is just faster. So do you just assume it's a roll and just go for the same play again? Do you maybe realize that, like, hey, the Aerodactyl is actually kind of scary, maybe I should prioritize that? But then again, Liakos could just say, hey, my Aerodactyl did so much work, I'm not going to give you that to you for free. I'm curious what adjustment you think could be strong here. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think there's an inference that Liakos could make right away from that game 1. Liakos seeing that Ciccioct was Draining Kiss rather than Dazzling Gleam on the Floette, you can say, well, the Floette's probably a little bit more invested in its defenses. It's probably trying to set up to use that Draining Kiss more effectively, and then for any speed that it needs, it's going to rely on the Tailwind. So maybe Liakos is making the assumption right away that, well, my Floette's probably just going to be faster all the time, which means that going for this Tailwind mirror is going to be advantage for me, and I've got the Dazzling Gleam to do the damage immediately. I think... Sorry, I'm still looking at this from Liakos' perspective, but I think from their end, they'd love to set Tailwind, spend a lot of damage, maybe trade off a few Pokemon, send in their Basculegion, and get that last respects going to rip through the rest of Ciccioct's team. Whereas on Cicciott's end, even though most of the Pokemon are the same, has a very different goal this game. They really want to find a way to weather the storm, use their defensive resources, maybe even set a trick room with Sinistcha. Sinistcha comes to the game, but find ways to really slow down the damage from Liakos' side, which really is just represented by that Dazzling Gleam versus Draining Kiss choice.
As we go into that game 2, we see the same leads from both sides. It is that Sneasel Floette for Ciccioct and that Floette Aerodactyl that won Liakos game 1. So we are gonna see no adjustments for this. Maybe, however, there are gonna be adjustments presumably in the play. Now you know everything's on the table. We know the opposing Floette on Liakos' side is maybe faster than Ciccioct. And what are our players gonna decide to go for is the question here.
Yeah, this is so interesting. Liakos still has all of the immediate offensive pressure, still pressuring the opposing Sneasler. We see Floette Mega Evolve here, as expected, with dual Wing Beat. And the question is where this Fake Out is going to go and where those attacks. Maybe Cicciott's going to try to get a Combine, but it feels hard with all this pressure.
Yeah, notably, we had the patch where the Megas are going to evolve in speed order. We see that Liakos Mega evolved first yet again, or well, not again, but we do see that the Floette acts
speed
first.
Interaction, yeah.
Another one speed interaction, but that one speed interaction is very crucial. You get to know more. It is that Fake Out into the Floette as that dual Wing Beat immediately sniping down that Sneasler, but Cicciott's Floette is free to go for any one attack here. And if it is that Combine, possibly even maybe it's just going to set itself up for victory here. We see that Liakos Floette is going to flinch here as the Moonblast is going to go out into the opposing Floette. And I just have to appreciate a little bit that the Moonblast has been nerfed to not have the 30% special attack drop. I'm so used to always seeing the special attack drop, but I haven't seen one the entire time.
As a Reg F Archelodon Rain player, I used to joke that whenever Moonblast hits Archelodon, it will special attack drop, so I'm happy to see it myself. Yeah, no special attack drop there means that all that Ciccioct got in exchange for his entire Sneasler was just damage into that Floette, so kind of an interesting position. That Aerodactyl doesn't look too happy here, and Sucker Punch, maybe he was hoping that with the Moonblast, the opposing Floette would be in range of Sucker Punch, but actually both Floettes have the same HP investment. So I think the difference in bulk that Liakos is trading off for speed is just in the defense stat. Yeah, doesn't look like Sucker Punch range to me.
As you see, the King Gambit does go for the Protect, so maybe agreeing that it isn't in Sucker Punch range. We see the Aerodactyl go for the Rock Slide. Rock Slide notorious for flinching, so we'll have to see if it does or not. The Moonblast from Liakos' side targeting down into the King Gambit as Cicciott's Floette is free to go for a Moonblast into the opposing Floette, getting rid of that Floette that has been so pesky for them in that game 1, getting that first knockout of the set as well for Ciccioct.
So this is a critical moment. We're going to see the boulders start rolling down the hill a little bit here. Neither King Gambit can hit one another, or can hit the other. Iron Head is the biggest threat into the Floette, but if that Floette gets to run away without taking any Iron Heads, it's going to be very hard for Liakos to find a way through it, given that Aerodactyl can't pressure it right away with just Rock Slide into a Wing Beat, and Draining Kiss will heal it back up. And you might think, well, Last Respects is Liakos' way through this problem, but that King Gambit is completely unthreatened by both Liakos' King Gambit and Aerodactyl. So the King Gambit is acting as covering fire for that Floette later if Basket Legion decides to come to play. And if Ciccioct can find a way to keep his Floette safe, it's going to be really hard for Liakos to find a way through this game.
Ciccioct, however, deciding to not protect and just going on the offense here with Moonblast after tanking that Rock Slide from the Aerodactyl. It is going to be the Moonblast into the opposing King Gambit, doing a lot of damage, way more than half.
But Iron Head goes into King Gambit!
And with that Iron Head into King Gambit, that means Floette is here for another turn. However, that Rock Slide plus Iron Head means that for some reason that King Gambit flinches. Either or, we don't know which move did it. But fact is, the King Gambit on Cicciott's side decided to not move because it flinched.
Yeah, wow. How crazy is that? Is Liakos once again going for a big read, saying your Floette's never attacking here. I have no reason to go after it. I'm just going to double attack that King Gambit and try to get more chip into it. But Floette gets a really crucial Moonblast into the King Gambit on Liakos' side, meaning that maybe Draining Kiss would even be enough to take the KO, heal Floette back. We're going to have to see. Here's Sucker Punch.
The Sucker Punch going into the Floette. And is it gonna be in range for that dual Wing Beat or that Iron Head? We see a Sucker Punch into the opposing Aerodactyl, bringing it down into the red. It's the Rock Slide to follow it up, which is not gonna be enough for the Floette. It's gonna do a bit of chip with the King Gambit as well, but is that Floette gonna move? The Floette is gonna go for the Draining Kiss into that Aerodactyl, finishing it off once and for all and leaving Liakos with only 2 Pokemon. We will see what Liakos has in the back now and
this is
bringing it down
Legion.
to
I think it's game 3.
I think so too, because if it's that Basque Legion, unless it is very, very bulkily trained to tank Sucker Punch Black Glasses, I don't think this Basque Legion is free to go for anything. And
Anything
we
but
will
Aqua
have anything but Aqua Jet. I mean, you could get around a Sucker Punch with an Aqua Jet, and then you maybe can get another attack off. And it still depends on what Ciccioct has in the back, because it's fair to assume that the Flood is going to go down eventually here, and it is going to be a 2 against 2.
Yeah. What an interesting position. And sorry for jumping in. That was just very exciting. The Floette surviving with 7 HP.
That is totally fair. I would also jump in immediately. Like, what?
Yeah.
It lives that?
Well, now we've got the Protect and the other Protect to see what that Basque Leader is locking into. Once again, crossing your T's, dotting your I's. What are you locking into? I might want to switch, and it is the Aqua Jet.
Yeah, locking yourself into an Aqua Jet just to avoid that Sucker Punch here, possibly. With that, I think that kind of sees Floette's fate. What do you think that Ciccioct needs in the back to win this?
I think almost anything. Sinistcha, Incineroar. The one thing I wouldn't love to see would be Aerodactyl, because it would force you to switch in Aerodactyl and kowtow the opposing Basque Legion, and the Aerodactyl is going to take a lot from Aqua Jet, but we're going to see what it is. Yeah,
the Floette is going to switch out into the Sinistcha, the one Pokemon that you really do not want to see when you locked into Aqua Jet, and I think that kind of... I'm going to leave myself out of the window and just say I think that is kind of sealed now for Ciccioct, because that Iron Head has to put in a lot of work. You need a lot of Iron Head flinches here. Maybe this is the first?
I mean, even with one, right? The Sinistcha can pull the next Iron Head away from King Gambit just to make sure that Basque Legion goes down. And then the HP advantage that was acquired through Hospitality would be enough to mean that Ciccioct was most likely to win the endgame with their King Gambit over Liakos, who's already taken, a Moonblast. So this looked brutal either way, and that Sinistcha was definitely the last Pokemon Liakos wanted to see.
Yeah, and Liakos does decide to forfeit here, so we are going to go into that game 3 with a 1-1 here for both players. What an amazing set here as well from Ciccioct too. You think that after that Sneasler KO is just over, especially with the King Gambit in the back, but bringing it back here, just getting that one read right, turning everything around. Crucially, not that King Gambit from Liakos' side hitting into the Floette, and Floette free to go for any attack there. Of course, King Gambit flinching didn't help, but if you get it right, you don't need the King Gambit to move if you get it right.
That's right. Yeah, it's critical the ways that Ciccioct was able to find to trade damage, make sure that Floette got taken down quickly enough while their own King Gambit was safe to attack. The absence of a fighting type on Liakos' side really showing how difficult it can be to handle one of these top usage Pokemon in King Gambit. And the King Gambit mirror match, no low kick on either side, meant that it was a lot harder to handle than Liakos would have liked. Yeah, really just a fascinating end game, and Ciccioct making some very smart trades to make sure that they would have a position where no matter what Liakos did, Ciccioct would have a way through it. And as expected, we're seeing game 3 between these two excellent players.
What a fun set to also go into a game 3 here. Floette mirrors you'd think would be very boring and slow, but our players are just non-stop pulling it through, just hitting that gas and just going straight forward. We do see that Liakos has a lot of the Pokemon be faster than Ciccioct's side, so I'm curious if there's going to be any adjustments as we see Liakos lead with that King Gambit Aerodactyl against Sneasler Floette.
Again.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if the Sneasler is just going to get dual wing beated turn 1 again. I mean, we've seen that dual wing beat land in the Sneasler 2 games in a row now, and if Sneasler was hanging around, that King Gambit would have a much harder time. So it's a really big question to me is where these threats are going to go, and how Ciccioct is going to use this turn 1, whether he's going to expose Sneasler again, or whether it's going to be a different story.
Yeah, we see Ciccioct does go for that Mega on the Floette immediately. And we will have to see, as there's no switches, what that Sneasler decided to fake out here as well. Like, did you fake out into the Aerodactyl? Did you fake out into the King Gambit? It is that fake out into the Aerodactyl. Stopping it from moving anytime soon here is going to flinch. And it is going to be the Moonblast. It's Aerodactyl! It's going to get the KO here immediately. Oh.
That's a big deal. It means the Sneasler is not exposed to dual wing beat later in the game. We'll have to see if the Iron Head get...
What is happening with our King Gambits and missing the KOs on the Floettes? Is Floette just way tankier than we thought? We just see Floette tank an Iron Head after an Iron Head here, I feel. and it is the Liakos Flood coming here onto the field. Most importantly, however, Ciccioct has that Sneasler.
This is critical here. Yeah, now we can see what Ciccioct was covering in those previous games. They thought that Aerodactyl would protect itself perhaps and avoid this fake-out Moonblast play, and it didn't happen, and Sneasler went down. But Liakos sticking to their strategy of just attacking with Aerodactyl turn 1 has backfired now. Now there's no speed advantage, and the Sneasler is on the playground ready to start swinging from the monkey bars with those close combats and Dire Claws. Kingambit doesn't want to take the CC, Floette doesn't want to take the Dire Claw, and indeed probably needs a lot of defensive investment to take one well. So this is definitely going to be an interesting game now that Sneasler is here to play.
Yeah, as we see Liakos go for that Mega Floette, no reason not to, as they're presumably going for the Dazzling Gleam here, just trying to get the spread damage here. It is the Kingambit going for the Protect here, and we know that because of the Kingambit being slower, no one else is going for Protect. It is a Dire Claw into the Floette, so calling it right that there is no reason to attack the Kingambit here. No status effect means that the Floette is free to go for the Dazzling Gleam here. It KOs the opposing Floette with a critical hit, a bit of overkill here, and getting a lot of damage down into the Sneasler, putting it into the yellow.
Yeah, I think if you were wondering whether Floette was a good Pokemon in this format, I just want to highlight the damage that Dazzling Gleam, which I believe is probably an 80 base power move, if I recall correctly, did to the Sneasler. It did well over half of Sneasler's health with just the Dazzling Gleam. Sneasler's almost is probably in range of another one, even through this Hospitality. We'll have to see. I don't think so. Not quite 100 damage, but
I think
if you were wondering whether Floette was strong, that Dazzling Gleam completely unboosted would have just two-shot the Sneasler right away, and it took the Dire Claw, no less. But still, Sneasler sitting very pretty with the redirection available, close combat available, Dire Claw available, lots of very useful tools here.
The question now is, what do you go for as Liakos? That Floette is very low, that Kingambit is threatened to be one-hit KO'd by that close combat as well. What would you do here?
Yeah, well, if I was going with CC with my Sneasler, I would recognize that going for that meant that I was dropping my defenses and exposing myself to a Dazzling Gleam. And with my own Floette down, if I let Sneasler go down to Dazzling Gleam right now, I might not be able to beat what's in the back for Liakos. Although it's probably the Basculegion again, so maybe we're going to get another Kingambit Basculegion in-game. Oh, Kingambit's off.
It is that Incineroar
Hot Bask
here. Whoa, no Basculegion for Liakos in the back. However, that Intimidate obviously being negated by that White Herb. However, it is that close combat into the Incineroar, reduced by the Chopper Berry, so we should hang on here. And because we did just intimidate that Sneasler, there is the White Herb to remove the defense drops. That critical hit allowing a lot of damage into that Incineroar. But now, Liakos firing off a Dazzling Gleam, that is sure to be enough into the Sneasler when it before maybe wouldn't have been. Now that Cincioct is free to move still, and maybe it's gonna go for a Trick Room, it's gonna go for the Machagacha here, and it's not gonna KO any of the Pokemon. Maybe a burn on the Floette. It's a critical. This Incineroar just wants to be critical hit it seems. And yeah, Cincioct healing up a little bit, and what a smart play to switch in that Incineroar.
Yeah, you're both clearing away the White Herb right away, the Chople Berry takes the close combat, and you get the drops in time for the Dazzling Gleam to land and take the KO. So what a position, and now this Kingambit is the final boss that Liakos has to beat with his 6 HP Incineroar and 7 HP Floette. But you can't Sucker Punch them both, Ducky.
Yeah, you can't, even though you'd wish you could. And you are still slower than the opposing side. This Floette is free to go for one more Moonblast or Dazzling Gleam. However, that Sinistra is now able to just reverse the speed order with that Trick Room as well. So the question is, does that Kingambit protect or not?
Yeah, this is so interesting. I mean, Sinistra, it's very easy for Sinistra to be EV'd in a way that it would outspeed the Incineroar and maybe even get a Machagacha off. It can probably take a Moonblast with how resilient they usually are. And if that's the case, I mean, Machagacha takes both of these KOs, but there's an accuracy problem. Machagacha can miss, and it can miss often, as a friend of Sinistra myself. So even if you protect the Kingambit, but no, it's just going to be Sucker Punch right away.
Whoa, that Sucker Punch chugging down into the Incineroar, getting the KO here immediately. So that Incineroar going for any attack, so Flabbits or Throat Chop or Darkness Lariat, whatever it had, it is that Floette, however, going into the Sinistra just barely hanging on because of the Machagacha recovery and the leftovers, allowing it to go for another Machagacha and just KOing the Floette here. It is a 2 against 1, but Cincioct is not looking the healthiest here.
Yeah, I think the fact that Ciccioct has access to Kingambit and Sinistra while Liakos is just on that full HP, King Gambit should be enough to win the game, but maybe with the right speed interactions and Iron Heads, I mean, we could be coming down to a flinch versus flinch endgame here.
Yeah, it really comes down to maybe that Sinister is even faster too if you decide to go for the counter cleave just to be safe, and the Sinister goes for the Machagotcha and gets the burn. That might as well seal it. So this isn't quite over. I think if Liakos does get it down to that 1v1 against the King Gambit, that is the Iron Head flinches. We've seen the King Gambit move faster for Liakos a lot.
It's at minimum a tie. Here's Sucker Punch, but it fails. Trying to KO that Sinister before it has the chance to get a burn with Machagotcha, but it doesn't happen. Life Dew. Oh.
Yeah, the Life Dew allowing for that Sinister to heal itself and dodge that Sucker Punch that Liakos has locked in. So now you're still in the same position if you're Liakos, but Ciccioct now has just more damage down into Liakos here and is able to maybe the next Life Dew allows it to hang on with 1 HP or something. So if you're just faster, you're able to just move on.
Yeah, it's really going to be, I mean, like, I think this is a moment where you see that Ciccioct Sinister has no protect, and perhaps you go ahead and throw the Kowtow Cleave into it, just assuming it would Life Dew to dodge a Sucker Punch. But that was a tough call to make. You don't want to risk the Machagotcha burn if you can avoid it, because that would be game ending right away. And you're still going to be in a position where you're down on HP and trying to win these Ironhead mind games, or not mind games, rather flinch chances. But the difference here, right, is with this additional damage to the Black Glass's Kowtow Cleave, which is why Ciccioct didn't go for Ironhead. It's really going to be hard for Liakos to stack up enough damage to win this. And there's the burn!
Not calling it that the Sinister is going for the Machagotcha here, so not Sucker Punching, going for the Kowtow like we highlighted. But because of that, the Sinister is able to go for the Machagotcha and burns it. It also hangs on. So I think this turn has sealed up Ciccioct the game, and Ciccioct is presumably here the one to go forward. It is way too much of an uphill battle for Liakos here.
I'm in full agreement, and it looks like Liakos understands, sees the writing on the wall, and it's Ciccioct
what a set.
Our top 16. What a wild set indeed, all the way from game 1 to game 3.
And that has only been top 32. There are still 4 more matches to highlight. So I think this level of skill is just impeccable. I think you can't get this anywhere else, really.
Competitive Pokemon is a special game. At least I believed that my whole life. So I'm really grateful to get the chance to see those games, and looking forward to seeing what happens on into our top 16 and beyond.
Yeah, Liakos with that offensive approach has really played aggressively well, has gotten Ciccioct punished that game 1. That game 2 also looking pretty good until that crucial turn where Ciccioct just read it right. If you just constantly play it by the book, you will eventually be read, and that will lead to your downfall long term. And with that game 3 punish on the fake out into the Aerodactyl as well, Ciccioct played that very excellent, but Liakos obviously a strong opponent to face there. I would be quivering in my boots. I don't know if I could get those reads right as well.
Well, I think we're going to a short break here. But thanks everyone for watching, and what an exciting set of games. I'm really, as stated, really looking forward to seeing what this tournament has in store as we go on towards on the March short finals.